Superintendent George Beach of the State Police. First and foremost, they're doing a great job. I want to applaud them, especially on today's work. To County Executive Steve Ballone, my partner, who's doing great work all across the board. Let's give him a round of applause. We also have Health Commissioner, Commissioner Howard Zucker, who's here. I want to thank him for his good work. And Arlene Gonzalez-Sanchez, who's Commissioner of our Office of Substance Abuse. Let's give them a round of applause. And my colleagues from the state legislature and the local legislature, who, without whose help, today wouldn't be possible. Thank you very much. First, to all men and women of law enforcement, we all owe them a debt of gratitude. They are working overtime. If you take a step back for a second and think of all the challenges they're facing, right? Just look at here on Long Island. We have MS-13. We have a new and constant threat of terrorism. And we have a scourge of drugs, once again, more dangerous, more potent, taking more lives than ever before. So let's give them all a round of applause. Today, the state police did a great piece of work on investigating a case dealing with the sale of K2. K2 has been a problem for the past several years. It's a relatively recent phenomenon, but it's dangerous. It started when I was Attorney General. It's marketed to young people. As the superintendent said, it's marketed with these names that makes it sound cool and innocuous, sold in bodegas and gas station stores and small grocery stores. It is synthetic marijuana. It's unchecked. It comes from places unknown. It is dangerous in and of itself, and the behavior that it causes is erratic and dangerous, not just to the individual and the people around them, but also to law enforcement. So we've been battling it for a few years. The state police did a case where they did extraordinary investigative work. They turned it over to the feds, who doing the actual prosecution. The Suffolk County Police did a great job working with them. So let's give them all a round of applause on their success today. Department of Health is here today because they're going to close down that store. They'll close it down today for the sale of the illegal drugs, and that comes under the health law. So I want to thank Commissioner Zucker for his quick response. We also have a new threat besides K2, because what's happening now is, in the world of synthetic drugs, they constantly create a new drug compound. So K2 was basically synthetic marijuana. We dealt with that for a number of years. And now we have synthetic fentanyl. Fentanyl is a prescription pain reliever that you can get legally. They've taken fentanyl and they now synthetically produce fentanyl and cut fentanyl with heroin, with crack cocaine, and it is a potent killer. Fentanyl, synthetic fentanyl. Just to give you an idea, 3 milligrams of fentanyl can kill a person, where it takes 30 milligrams of heroin. So it gives you an idea of the potency of synthetic fentanyl. There are 11 derivatives, 11 analogs of fentanyl that we now know of that are manufactured. I want to propose to the state legislature that they make those synthetic derivatives of fentanyl what's called Schedule I drugs. They are drugs. They should be punished as drugs. You're selling these. Law enforcement needs the tool to be able to lock up the offender, and that's what a Schedule I drug than law does, and I urge the legislature to pass it. Also, this drug is so powerful that the anti-overdose medication that they prescribe, called naloxone, they need 5 times more naloxone to bring back a person from a fentanyl overdose than they do from a heroin overdose. Just think of that. 5 times more of the same drug. We run into a situation where the insurance companies won't reimburse law enforcement, hospitals, EMS for the additional doses of naloxone, which means law enforcement is faced with a dilemma. If they don't administer the drug, the person dies. If they do, they don't get reimbursed for it. We're going to put out what's called the circular today, a regulation requiring all insurance companies that do business in the state of New York to pay the fair amount of naloxone to bring back lives of people who are treated with synthetic fentanyl. The drug scourge seems like it's been with us forever. But it ebbs and it flows. It is at an all-time high right now. The number of deaths in the U.S. from drug overdoses, 64,000 last year. To give you an idea of what 64,000 means, it's more people than died at the peak of HIV. It's more people that died than the peak year of gun violence. It's more people who died than who died in the Vietnam War, Afghanistan War, and Iraq War combined. That's how many people we're losing to drugs. And that's why it's an epidemic and a crisis that we all have to focus on. I'm the parent of 3 young ladies, 22, 22, and 20. And the way a parent sleeps at night is they say, oh, it's not my kids. It's somebody else's kids. My kids are with, they're good kids and they're surrounded by good kids. Or a parent says, well, that wouldn't happen here. That happens somewhere else. That doesn't happen in our community. This is a good community. That's how you fall asleep at night. And that's what you need to sleep, and I understand that. Because I've been up many long nights waiting for the phone to ring or waiting for my young lady to walk through the door past the curfew. But this is everybody's problem. This is Nassau and Suffolk. This is Queens and Brooklyn. This is Albany and Buffalo. This is all across the state. It's nobody else's kids who could fall victim to this drug scourge. These are your kids. These are your neighbors. These are your nieces. They are your cousins. We all have to do everything we can. Educators, religious leaders, parents, neighbors, extended family. If you see a hint, a trace of a problem, do something about it. Because these drugs are so potent, you don't get a second chance. You overdose on synthetic fentanyl, you can die, period. And nobody wants to go through the rest of their life saying, I should have acted, I should have called, I should have stepped in, I should have done something. We have more treatment available than ever before. We funded more treatment than ever before thanks to the New York State Legislature. But it's up to all of us to take the first step. Take the first step. You may not have a second opportunity. With that, let me turn it over to a great partner, a great friend, a great public servant, County Executive Steve Bellone.
Thank you very much, Governor. And I first want to thank you for coming to Suffolk County once again on an issue of the most profound importance to us, an issue we are fighting on the ground here every day. And once again, not only backing us up, not only supporting us, but being out in front and leading the fight, leading the effort against what is probably the most terrible scourge of our time here in this county, across the state, and across the country. I want to say thank you to all of my colleagues here working on this issue, particularly my colleagues in the legislature. Sarah Anker, who worked on many programs of this and has been fighting this for so long, Bill Lindsay and Kevin McCaffrey and all of our colleagues. But I particularly want to thank Suffolk County Police Department and our Police Commissioner, Tim Sini, who's really been leading the fight for us on the ground here in Suffolk County. But most importantly, Governor, I want to thank you on behalf of all of the people here who have been fighting this scourge on the ground, all the healthcare professionals, all the advocates, and particularly all the family advocates, people that you're talking so eloquently about here today. These drugs are destroying beautiful, wonderful lives with incredible potential. And what you said, Governor, is absolutely right. This can impact any family at any moment, at any time, and we don't know who will get caught in the grips of the addiction. And we're fighting, and you're leading the fight on every front, because this is a comprehensive battle on the education side, the prevention side, and the treatment side. And we thank you for everything you're doing on those fronts. But on the law enforcement side, this is critical. It is critical that these individuals who are creating these drugs, dealing these drugs, selling these drugs, and destroying lives in our communities know that they will be caught and they will be punished. And I can tell you, Governor, that your proposal today, I know from the Commissioner and our law enforcement officials here, they are grateful and thankful. They will do everything they can to support you in the effort to move this forward, because they know this will bring the tools necessary to bring the fight even further than we are already doing to these individuals who are destroying lives and wreaking havoc in our communities. So, Governor, I can't thank you enough. Again, the issue of fentanyl with this opioid epidemic here, it's the #1 killer in Suffolk County. Of all the opioids we're dealing with, fentanyl is #1. And likely that was in 2016 and will be again in 2017. So you are right on target, Governor, right on point. And we're grateful for your leadership, and we are here to partner with you to make sure that we end this terrible scourge. Thank you, Governor.
Questions for myself or any of my colleagues?